In 793 AD, the holy island of Lindisfarne was one of the most sacred Christian sites in Britain. It was an undefended vault of illuminated manuscripts and gold religious objects, existing in a world where nobody attacked monasteries. On June 8th, dragon-prowed ships emerged from the fog, bringing sudden ruin and slaughter to the island's unsuspecting monks. The monks had absolutely no warning. The scholar Alcuin, one of the great intellectuals of the era, wrote that he struggled to find words for the catastrophe. The men who came off those ships didn't know the rules of European warfare, or they simply didn't care. And with that, the Viking Age had truly begun. Viking is a job description, not a nationality. In Old Norse, to go a Viking meant to go on a seasonal raid. Most Scandinavians were farmers and craftspeople who farmed in the spring and raided in the autumn. Scandinavia at the time faced population pressure and a legal tradition called primogeniture, where the eldest son inherits everything. This left a generation of younger sons with no land, creating a powerful incentive to seek wealth abroad. Their ambition was paired with a massive technological achievement of the medieval world, the longship. Built to flex with the ocean waves, a well-crewed longship could hit 10 to 12 knots under sail. It was symmetric, meaning the crew could row in either direction without turning the boat around, and a shallow draft let it navigate rivers just a few feet deep. This combination of landless ambition and innovative engineering allowed the Norse to strike any target at any time. Their initial southern strategy was coastal raiding along Britain, Ireland, and France. In 845 AD, they sacked Paris, extorting 7,000 pounds of silver. But in 865 AD, the Great Heathen Army arrived in England to stay, establishing the Danelaw and seizing half the country. It took Alfred the Great, the only English king to successfully hold them off, to force a standoff at the Battle of Edington. The result was a negotiated peace, where Alfred baptized the Viking leader and recognized him as a legitimate king within the Danelaw. Through sheer force and strategy, they proved they could dismantle established European kingdoms and legally replace them from the inside. Meanwhile, Norwegian exiles pushed across the North Atlantic to settle Iceland. Within 60 years, they established a legal assembly called the Althing, which still operates today as one of the world's oldest parliaments. From there, a man exiled for manslaughter named Eric the Red sailed further west. He found an island covered mostly in ice, but deliberately named it Greenland to lure in new settlers. Around the year 1000, his son Leif Erikson sailed even further to a place he called Vinland. The sod houses excavated at Lanceau Meadows in modern Canada confirm Norse habitation in North America. The settlement didn't last. Conflict with indigenous populations and the logistical impossibility of maintaining supply lines across the Atlantic forced them to abandon the site. Even though the community couldn't sustain itself, their maritime technology allowed them to push the boundaries of human migration to an entirely new continent, 500 years before Columbus. Looking at this map of the eastern routes, Swedish Vikings, known as Varangians, navigated the Dnieper and Volga rivers. They founded key trading cities and established the Kievan Rus, the medieval state that gave Russia its name. They traded raw goods for Byzantine silk, Frankish glass, and Arabic silver. At markets in Sweden, archaeologists have uncovered goods from as far away as Central Asia. The most elite fighters traveled south to serve as the Varangian Guard, the personal bodyguards of the Byzantine emperor in Constantinople. They were a medieval globalized network, linking the Arctic Circle with the Islamic Caliphate and the Byzantine Empire through intercontinental commerce. One of those Byzantine mercenaries was Harald Hardrada. He returned north, claimed the throne of Norway, and eventually died at the Battle of Stamford Bridge in England in 1066, an event widely considered the end of the Viking Age. 2 weeks later, William the Conqueror invaded England and won at Hastings. Ironically, William was himself the descendant of Viking settlers from Normandy. What actually ended the era was a cultural shift. As Scandinavia converted to Christianity, the promise of a warrior's paradise in Valhalla faded. The spiritual incentive to raid died with the old gods. At the same time, scattered chiefdoms consolidated into centralized kingdoms, while their targets adapted by fortifying churches and reorganizing coastal defenses. They didn't drink from skulls, they didn't wear horned helmets. They were pragmatic farmers and craftspeople who adapted to their harsh geography. Norse foundations still anchor major cities like Dublin and York, while genetic studies trace their ancestry through the populations of the British Isles, Iceland, and Russia. They settled where they landed and eventually became the people they had once terrorized. Next time, we explore an empire that rose from a lake to dominate the Americas in less than a century.